Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you're likely wondering, just like many of us, what the smartest financial path is when it comes to getting around. You've actually shared with us a really interesting set of notes, we're calling them the Calpurnia notes, that dig deep into the costs of different ways to handle your car needs.
hmm
So if you're questioning whether to go electric, stick with gasoline, or maybe even rethink car ownership altogether, we've got some compelling information for you to chew on.
Exactly. And these Calpurnia notes you've provided give us a fantastic framework. We're going to be looking at three distinct scenarios, really putting them side by side financially over, say, a 5-year period to see which one emerges as, well, the most economical for you.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The first scenario we're exploring is this idea of having a smaller electric car that's perfect for city driving, and then, for those less frequent longer trips, simply renting a larger car.
Right.
The second path we'll analyze is just buying a mid-sized, or what's often called a segment C,
Hmm.
electric car to cover all your driving needs. And finally, we'll look at the more traditional option, purchasing a segment C gasoline-powered car. Our goal is to dissect the initial purchase prices, the everyday running costs like charging or fuel and maintenance, and ultimately to reveal the total cost of ownership for each of these over 5 years. Ready to see what the numbers tell us?
Absolutely. What these numbers reveal can often challenge our assumptions about the true cost of different transportation choices over time. Let's start with that first scenario, the city electric car combined with renting a larger vehicle when needed.
So looking at the Calpurnia notes, if you opted for a city electric car, a model like the Renault Twingo E-Tech Electric as mentioned, the average purchase price after government incentives comes in around 15,000 calendar. That's a pretty enticing entry point.
It really is.
Now, for your daily driving, let's say around 10,000 kilometers a year, these notes estimate an average energy use of 15 kilowatt hours for every 100 kilometers. Doing the math, that works out to about 1,500 kilowatt hours annually. And with electricity costs at 0.20 per kilowatt hour, your yearly charging expenses would be a surprisingly low 300.
What's fascinating here is the sheer magnitude of difference in energy costs compared to gasoline. It's huge. And the Calpurnia notes also highlight the lower maintenance requirements of electric vehicles, pegging the annual maintenance cost for a city electric car at just around 100.
Right. So when you factor in that 100 maintenance with the 300 for charging, the total yearly operating cost for the city electric car comes to a mere 400.
Just 400. Wow.
That's a stark contrast to what we'll see with gasoline cars.
Hmm.
But of course, the other part of this equation is having the flexibility of a larger car for those occasional longer journeys, estimated in the notes at about 5,000 kilometers per year.
Okay.
And the rental cost for a segment C car for that mileage is estimated to be between 500 and 700 euro, or roughly 0.1 to 0.14 per kilometer.
What these initial figures suggest is a potential shift in how we think about our transportation needs. Instead of bearing the constant cost of owning a larger, more versatile vehicle for those infrequent times, we need its full capacity.
Right.
This model allows for a more tailored approach, paying for that extra capability only when you actually use it.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears to the second scenario. You decide to purchase a segment C electric car to handle all of your estimated 15,000 kilometers of driving each year. The Calpurnia notes suggest that the average purchase price for this class of electric vehicle falls in the range of 25,000 to 30,000 euro. So a more significant initial outlay.
That higher price point reflects the increased size, likely greater range, and potentially more advanced features you'd expect in a segment C vehicle compared to a smaller city car. Makes sense. And logically, the energy consumption will also be different. The notes indicate an average consumption of 18 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers for this category,
Okay.
which over 15,000 kilometers annually results in a total energy use of 2,700 kilowatt-hours.
And keeping our electricity costs consistent at 0.10 euro per kilowatt hour, the yearly charging cost for the segment C electric car amounts to 540 euro. The maintenance cost is also a bit higher than the city car, estimated at around 150 euro per year, according to the notes.
So the total annual operating costs for the segment C electric car come in at 690 euros. That's the 540 euros for charging, plus the 150 euros for maintenance. Still substantially lower than a comparable gasoline car, as we'll see,
Definitely.
but notably higher than the smaller city electric car on its own.
All right, let's move on to the third option, the ever-present segment C gasoline car. The Calpurnia notes estimate a purchase price somewhere between 20,000 euro and 25,000. Generally, gasoline vehicles in this segment tend to have a lower initial cost compared to their electric counterparts.
That's often the case up front, yes. However, the real divergence in cost typically becomes apparent when we examine the ongoing running expenses, particularly the cost of fuel. The notes suggest an average fuel consumption of 15 kilometers per liter for a segment C gasoline car. Over 15,000 kilometers of driving, that translates to a need for approximately 1,000 liters of fuel each year.
And with gasoline prices in our Calpurnia notes set at 1.65 per liter, that results in a rather significant annual fuel expenditure of 1,650 Al.
Ouch.
And we haven't even considered the maintenance costs yet.
Precisely. The notes estimate the annual maintenance cost for a segment T gasoline car to be around €300, which is higher than both of the electric vehicle options we've discussed.
So let's add up those annual operating costs for the gasoline car. 1,650 for fuel plus €300 for maintenance gives us a total of 1,957 per year.
1,950.
That's a considerable leap compared to the electric alternatives.
It really underscores how fuel costs can significantly impact the overall cost of ownership over time. Now that we have a clearer picture of the initial investment and the yearly running costs for each of these scenarios, let's delve into the 5-year total cost comparison. This is where the long-term financial implications truly come into focus for you.
Okay, let's break down the 5-year figures as outlined in the Calpurnia notes. For the city car plus rental scenario, you're looking at an initial investment of €15,000.
Right.
Then the annual operating costs for the city car are 400, and the rental adds another 500 to €700 each year. So your total annual spending in this scenario falls between €900 and €1,100. Over 5 years, that accumulates between 4,500 and 5,500 euros in operating expenses. Adding that to the initial 15,000, the total cost over 5 years for the city car and rental combination is in the range of 19,500 to 20,500.
Under 21K, basically. Now, let's turn our attention to the segment C electric car. With an initial purchase price ranging from $25,000 to $30,000, and annual operating costs of €690, those operating costs over 5 years will total $3,450.
Okay, 3,450 in running costs.
Therefore, the total cost of ownership for the segment's electric car over a 5-year period comes out to between $28,450 and $33,450, quite a bit higher.
And finally, the segment C gasoline car. The initial cost is estimated between $20,000 and $25,000. But remember, those significantly higher annual operating costs of $1,950.
Yeah, almost $2,000 a year.
Over 5 years, that amounts to a substantial $9,750 in running costs.
So almost $10,000 just to run it for 5 years.
Exactly. Adding that to the initial price, the total 5-year cost for the gasoline car lands between €29,750 and $34,750.
What stands out immediately is the rather significant difference in the total cost across these 3 options, as clearly illustrated by the Calpurnia notes.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here, and it's quite striking, is the potential for substantial cost savings by opting for the city electric car and utilizing rentals for those longer trips. The notes specifically highlight that over a 5-year period, this strategy could save you approximately €10,250 to €14,250 compared to purchasing a segment C gasoline car.
Wow.
That's a considerable amount of money that could be allocated elsewhere.
And it's not just when compared to gasoline. The city car plus rental model also demonstrates a financial advantage when stacked up against the segment C electric car, potentially saving you in the region of $8,950 to $12,950 over those same 5 years.
So the conclusion drawn from the Calpurnia notes is quite compelling.
Yeah.
For your transportation needs, purchasing a smaller city-focused electric car for the majority of your driving, and then strategically renting a larger segment C car for those less frequent longer journeys appears to be the most economically sound choice based purely on these financial calculations.
And beyond the pure economics, it's worth considering the practical advantages this approach can offer. A smaller electric car can be much easier to maneuver and park in urban environments, potentially saving you time and reducing stress on a daily basis.
Sure, definitely easier in the city.
Plus, having the option to rent a larger vehicle allows you to access the specific size and capabilities you need for longer trips without having to bear the constant costs associated with owning such a vehicle year-round. Moreover, for those of you conscious about environmental impact, primarily using an electric vehicle for your daily commutes contributes to lower emissions.
So, to bring it all together, our deep dive into these Calpurnia notes strongly suggest that combining the purchase of a city electric car for your regular driving with the occasional rental of a larger car for longer trips offers a significant financial benefit over 5 years, compared to both owning a segment C electric car and owning a segment C gasoline car.
This leads to a crucial question for you, the listener. Reflect on your own typical driving patterns. How many kilometers do you actually drive in a given year? How often do you genuinely require the extra space and range of a larger vehicle?
Yeah, really think about that.
Could this model of using a smaller, more efficient electric car for your day-to-day needs, supplemented by the flexibility of renting a larger car when necessary, realistically fit into your lifestyle and offer you substantial savings?
Absolutely. Well, the numbers paint a clear picture. The best solution always depends on your individual circumstances and priorities. So, as you consider these findings, think beyond just the bottom line. What value do you place on the constant availability of a larger car versus the potential for significant savings and the environmental advantages of primarily using a smaller electric vehicle for most of your travels?
Hmm.
It's a fascinating trade-off to consider as you make your own informed decisions about your transportation needs. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
It's been a really insightful look into the financial realities of different car ownership models. We hope this analysis from the Calpurnia notes has provided you with some valuable food for thought.